probably both move pretty quickly. The first of which is the extension by Governor DeWine. House Bill 404 extends the deadline previously set under House Bill 197 for public meetings to be held in a virtual context. I believe it extends that permissible period till the end of July. So I took a look at the resolution that was originally adopted by council to put this in place. I only have really one question here, unless someone else wants more information. It really is for the law director. Do we need to do anything to carve out additional time under our current resolution? Or are we okay to let it go as is? Or might it be more prudent to do something more at this point? Hello? Are we still there? Can you? Okay. Yeah, there's really only one question, Rich. Are we okay under our current resolution, or do we have to do something more?
We are okay, but we might want to do something anyway to let the residents know that we're going to continue virtually under these rules until, well, we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, does anybody else on the committee have any comment on that? Do we want to request that the law director take a closer look at that, and if so, put something on the agenda for the next meeting?
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Elliott.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should just let the law director. I don't think we have to do anything else. It's an extension. I think we're good under what we have, but if you we can do that.
I'm doing wow, I'm bad at this. Wow.
I think the law director ought to look at it.
Basically a video where someone whispers.
I kind of agree with him, but it's probably not a bad idea to put something out there.
But they do it with a microphone to make it sound.
Let the people know that we're keeping our eye on the ball. But, you know, it's his call. So let him tell us what he thinks we should do. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else on council have any comments on this? Okay, with that.
Chairperson, this is Casey Kelly.
Hi.
Hi. Typically what we do is, we do put it online. We can put it on the city Facebook page and the city website. As far as, you know, making the note that the extension goes through July. We also include it, on the citywide emailer, for those who request the agenda. We put the notice on there.
God,
Okay.
has someone murdered him? Has someone
Okay,
tried?
does
Has
anybody
someone
else
murdered him?
in the conversation have anything to add to this before I wrap it up? Okay, with that, Rich, please take a closer look at it. I think the consensus is that you're okay with letting things stand as is. Council is likely to be okay with that, but I think council would also be okay with placing something on the agenda just to be more fully disclosing of what's going on to the residents. And I like Stacy's idea of putting up some more additional public information on the subject. Anybody else have anything further on this one? Okay, let's move on to the chicken. Norm, good job. Oh my God, so much work has gone into this thing. I took a look at it. I'm ready, unless we hear something further from anybody else in this conversation, to refer it out for further dialogue by council and placement on an agenda. Does anybody want to go into more detail on this, or are we okay with doing that?
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Elliott.
Hi. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I met with Director Grassi and I spoke with the law director about this, and we are still
Anybody? How about anybody else in the room?
This is Councilman Fiske, if I may have the floor. Here, I want to thank Pat Elliott for bringing this up and being the chicken man in the city. I also want to thank Norm Martin for the detailed work that he did on this thing. I greatly appreciate that. I mean, it gives the building department the type of guidelines that I know Director Grassi wants. He wants some parameters that he can work within, and I think this does this fairly well. I had talked to Norm about maybe tweaking a few things in there, but what I'll do is I'll just suggest that I'll just send him the email back that we were talking about and just have him add them to what he's already got there for a few other items that I think ought to be thought about when we finally, bring it up, put it on the agenda. So, but I want to thank him for all the work that he's done. Thank you.
Thanks. Does anyone else have anything to add up to this before I make a motion?
This is Richard Pignatello.
Please go ahead.
We have a draft, but needs a lot of information that, I guess between Pat Elliott and Norm will probably fill in most of the blanks so that we would have this ready for the next council meeting.
Are you more comfortable with holding off or with placing it on an agenda at this point, subject to your further review?
I'll leave that up to Pat, but we can get it done if you want us to. We just have to add some decisions that need to be made. And I know we got this already. So we take what Pat and Director Grassi has done, add it to Norm, and we're pretty much there.
Okay. Councilman Elliott, I think I know where you stand already, but I'll ask you to chime in if you have anything further.
I do not. I'm ready to go on it. It's just basically like a fee schedule, permitting, just a few minor details that weren't in there, that Director Grassi came up with. I actually met with him again this morning, so.
Does anyone else have anything else to add to this before I make a motion?
This is Councilman Fiske. I have one question, if I may. I don't know whether Law wants to answer this or if the chief of police wants to answer this. When you state in an ordinance that a violation shall be a first-degree misdemeanor, a fourth-degree misdemeanor, do you have to state the specificness of what that entails? In other words, a fourth-degree misdemeanor is so much money or so much time in the Boy Scout. Does that even have to be in there, or can you say, it's a fourth-degree misdemeanor and that covers it? I'd like it either an answer from the law director or the chief, whoever feels comfortable.
Well, I'll take it. Pignatello. A fourth-degree misdemeanor has set parameters as how much jail and how much fine the magistrate or the judge has the authority to go up to. So it's a maximum of, I don't know, I think that one might be 30 days and $250 fine, but I don't think we usually put that in the ordinance itself, the details. Just that it would be a misdemeanor of the fourth degree.
But that's right. The level of penalty and fine is established by either the other sections of the ordinance or the Ohio Revised Code.
Chairman Norman Martin.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, the language that was in the draft that I provided, that was language directly from other ordinances within Seven Hills. There were similar related animal issues.
Right. Okay, anything further on this before I make a motion? Last question, Chairman. Is the lowest level misdemeanor that we have a fourth-degree misdemeanor? Thank you. That would be a minor misdemeanor, which is a $150 fine, no jail time. Is that the same as a fourth degree, sir? No. thank you. All right, with that said, I will make a motion to refer out this item to the full council with the recommendation to place it on an agenda subject to further amendments by the law director in consultation with other parties, including the building commission. Is there a second?
Councilman Elliott, second it.
Thank you. Delacuilla, yes. Snitsky, yes.
Elliott, yes.
All yea. All right, is there anything further for the Rules Committee? Nothing further. I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:13 p.m.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Hey, Norm, could you send me your comments?
Yeah,
I don't have them on his part. I don't have whatever Norm did.
oh, you're kidding.
Oh, you don't? Oh, it's pretty extensive. Okay, well, we can handle that offline. Right now, there's a motion to refer this out. Been seconded. I think, why don't we do it again? I will make a motion to refer this out with a recommendation to be placed on an agenda subject to further amendment by the law director in consultation with the building commissioner and other parties. Is there a second?
Councilman Elliott, I second the motion.
Okay, Delacuilla, yes. Snitsky, yes.
Elliott, yes.
Okay, next thing, I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:13 p.m.
Councilman Elliott, I second the motion.
Delacuilla, yes. Snitsky, yes.
Elliott, yes.
Thank you, everybody, we're adjourned.
Thank you, Chairperson Delacuilla. Moving on now to Parks and Recreation with Chairperson Norman Martin.
Chairman Norm Martin, we open up, Parks and Rec at, 6:15 p.m. Jen, you have, one item for us tonight?
Yes, we have the liturgical publications, it's an agreement, and what liturgical publications does is they, publish our newsletter for us, for the city newsletter at no cost to the city. I believe it's like a 28-page newsletter. A couple of years ago, council asked to update it to add 4 pages to it, and so they said that the cost for adding 4 pages would be roughly $3,000. They do come in and sell ads for this, and they said that it should be about $1,500 this year for the additional council quarterly pages. So it's a little bit of the savings because we have a lot of ads in the area.
Okay, questions from members of the Parks and Rec Committee?
I have no questions.
Have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve, the renewal with LTI?
Kelly, so moved.
Moved as a second.
Councilman Elliott, I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Kelly, aye.
Elliott, aye.
Martin, aye. Ben, anything further?
Nope, that's all I have for today.
Anything further from any other members of council? Hearing none, move we adjourn at 6:17 p.m.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Elliott, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Martin, aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Martin. Moving on to Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development with Chairperson Tom Snitsky.
Good evening, everybody.
This is Councilman Snitsky, Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development. We're in at 6:17. I do not believe there is anything in the folder that I have discerned, unless Carol has something that she can enlighten me with, but I have not seen anything. Later on in the meeting, in my miscellaneous section, I will be making 3 motions for 3 residential variances that were approved unanimously by the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that's really all I have this evening. Does anybody on the committee have anything for P, Z, B, and E?
Delacuilla, no.
Curriasis, no. Okay, anybody else on council have anything for P, Z, B, and E? Or the administration? Hearing no information, no comeback, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:18. Can I get a second?
Delacuilla, second.
All right. All in favor of that, say aye. I say aye.
Delacuilla, aye.
Curriasis, aye. Okay. We are out at 6:19. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson Snitsky. Okay, we're going to move on to the Finance Committee. This is Council President Kelly. We will begin at 6:19 p.m. I have one housekeeping issue from our last meeting. We had discussed a then and now ordinance request from the Finance Department for legal fees for Squire Patton Bog. I know we had a detailed conversation of this. However, I'm not sure if we took a vote. So just to err on the side of safety, I wanted to go ahead and reintroduce this quickly. Again, this was for legal fees to Squire Patton Boggs in the amount of $4,750. These were services that were already completed. Does anyone have any questions on this? I'm going to make a motion to go ahead and approve this for the agenda.
Delacuilla, second.
All in favor?
Delacuilla, yes.
Kelly, yes. Councilman Martin?
Martin, yes.
Okay, thank you. Before I get started on this evening's committee folder, we do have a guest here this evening. Ms. Cross, are you on the line?
I am on the line. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and being patient and waiting until we got to the Finance Committee. I do appreciate it. I'd like to
Thank you for having us.
Definitely. Are you the only person on the call?
Yes, it's only me. Yes. Yes, sorry.
Okay, great. Okay. I wanted to introduce you. I have on the phone Elizabeth Cross. She's with the Alex N. Still Company. They're located here on Rockside Road. And she wanted to come here this evening to discuss with council some issues. So with that being said, I will leave the floor to you. And if any committee members have any questions for Ms. Cross, please chime in. I'll leave the floor to you, Ms. Cross. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Liz Cross, and I'm the CFO at Alex & Still Company. Alex & Still Company has resided in Seven Hills. Their headquarters has been at the Lombardo Building, 6000 Lombardo, since 1990. Our lease is up for renewal, and we've taken our lease out to bid, and we've gotten some very competitive incentives and rental rates in other communities. So we brought this issue to the city a few weeks ago. We really love being in Seven Hills and want to stay here, but in order for that to make economic sense for us, we need some support from the city.
Got it. Okay. And first, I want to say you've been in the city for over 30 years. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes. So we've been in the city since 1990. We were one of the first tenants in the 6000 Lombardo Center building, and we're on the 6th floor. And one exciting additional point I'll make is that we're growing. So, we were bought by a private equity firm in 2018, and our growth model is to grow significantly, and we want to keep the existing jobs in Seven Hills, and also we anticipate having creating more jobs in the future.
Thank you. Do you feel comfortable discussing your projected payroll or what it is now and how that impacts?
Sure. Yes. Yep. So right now, and these are just really estimates, but our payroll in Seven Hills is around 3.5 million, and our total head count at the end of November was 25 in Seven Hills. So over the next 3 to 4 years, and even probably more thereafter, we're anticipating bringing at least getting our head count to at least 32, and payroll to 4.4 million by 2023. And like I said, that would be even more substantial growth beyond 2023. And the good thing about our organization is we're a public adjusting firm, so we're professional services. So the jobs that we'd be bringing and retaining in Seven Hills are, good paying office positions and professional positions.
Got it. Okay. And when is your current lease expire?
Our current lease expires in November 2021, but we were tasked by our current ownership to really take our lease out to bid. So we've been actively bidding it out, and we're at the point where we looked at up to 8 different locations, and we're narrowed it down to 2.
Okay. Mayor, did you want to speak as to what was discussed with Ms. Cross?
Sure. This is Mayor Biassiata. A couple things. In a retention situation, number one. Number two, we're in a competitive situation where other community had offered incentive. Also, the new potential new landlord offered incentive. So, when we first got this call, realizing that Seven Hills is not the only skin in the game, I called the landlord where Alex Sill Company currently resides and said they need to be part of the solution. And they offered incentives that are between Sill and the landlord to help retain this company, and the rest was on the city's behalf. And what we had offered in an aggressive retention competitive situation was 40% rebate on existing payroll and a 60% rebate on everything increased new payroll. Keep in mind, myself, the finance director, and assistant finance director looked at past deals, and typically we were around 50% rebate to offer and attract businesses to Seven Hills. In this situation, where it was a current employer, we could be in that range, but it had to be a little different. And that's where we came up with the 40-60, 40 for the current, 60 for new. And I want to point out one thing here. For example, income tax in the city of Seven Hills is 2.5%. Income tax in, say, the city of Independence is 2% of payroll. So the first 20% is just to make things even with another city that's offering that's 2%. So half of the 40% that we're talking about is just to level the playing field, and then another 20% as incentive, and that is the mathematics between the 40% offer on current payroll and 60% on growth. There was a follow-up meeting, myself, the council president, our finance team, and leadership with Alex Sill, where these terms were agreed upon. From that point, the CFO has been working with the council president on timing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your input. Are there any questions from the committee for Ms. Cross? Any questions from the other members of council?
Tom Stitsky, I have a question.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, Mr. Stitsky.
This is a question for the mayor. Assuming that we work something out in a deal to retain this business, is there going to be some type of a time frame that they have to remain within the city for that type of an incentive? Thank you.
This is Mayor Biassiata. Yes, it's the length of the lease, 8 years.
Any further questions? Okay. If there's no further questions, I'd like to make a motion to add this to our agenda to go ahead and for council committee approval for the 40% rebate on the Alex Sills Company existing payroll and a 60% rebate on any new payroll. And that would be for a duration of 8 years for the length of their lease. And I believe that is to be on emergency for your, what was that for, Ms. Cross? You wanted this on emergency, is that correct?
Yes, because we're trying to make a decision as soon as possible, and we're not able to commit to stay in the city and continue lease negotiations until we have commitment from the city. So we're trying to get approval as soon as possible.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, motion's on the floor. Is there a second, please?
Martin, second.
All in favor?
Delacqua, yes.
Martin, yes.
Kelly, yes. Okay, this is approved for the agenda. Ms. Cross, do you have any further questions or comments?
No, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for being a part of Seven Hills.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, folks, moving on. I have quite a bit in my folder, so it's going to take me a minute here. I have an ordinance request for a memorandum of understanding for authorizing the mayor to enter into this MOU for the years of 2021 through 2025 on behalf of the city with the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District and the NEORSD. And this is for them to provide technical assistance in implementing soil and water conservation measures to our city. This looks like there is a initial cost that the city does pay $6,000. This is for one term, and it appears that the NEORSD does reimburse the city the $6,000. Is that correct, Finance Director?
This is Finance Director Petruniak. I would have to check on that, but I believe that's an accurate statement.
Okay. Excellent. Or actually, this is through Dan, and I apologize. Dan Collins, would you find that correct?
Yes, Madam President, you are absolutely correct. That is a total 100% reimbursable through the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewage District each year for $6,000. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Any questions from the committee? If there's no questions, I'm going to make a motion to approve for the agenda.
Delacqua, second.
All in favor?
Delacqua, yes.
Martin, yes.
Kelly, yes. I heard Martin, yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on this is for a request to amend resolution number 20-2020. This is to add the Parks and Recreation levy to the tax rate resolution. And this is on emergency. Because it has to go to the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission. Any questions from the committee? No questions. I'm going to make a motion to approve for the agenda.
Bill Cool, second.
All in favor?
Bill Cool, yes.
Martin, yes.
Kelly, yes. Okay. Next, we have a resolution request. This is for a request to adopt a resolution requesting the county fiscal officer to make property tax advance payments to the city during the year of 2021 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 321.34. This is on emergency as well because the deadline to submit this to the County Budget Commission is December 31st of 2020. Any questions from the committee? I'll make a motion to approve for the agenda.
Martin, second.
All in favor? Kelly, yes.
Bill Cool, yes.
Martin, yes.
Okay. All right, let's see what's next here. Okay, it looks like I have a tenant then and now certificate with the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association. It looks like an invoice that's dated October 14th, 2020 in the amount of $6,100. This is for professional services for lieutenant promotional testing. And this is on emergency as the services have already been completed and the vendor is awaiting payment. Any questions from the committee? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this for $6,100 for the agenda.
Bill Cool, second.
All in favor? Kelly, aye.
Bill Cool, yes.
Martin, yes.
Thank you. Next, we have an ordinance request. Looks like for a lease purchase agreement with Leasing 2. This is in regards to the pumper truck for the fire department. This is a 10-year lease. We previously discussed this. This is in the amount of $669,689.10. Any questions from the committee?
This came out of the safety committee originally?
Originally, yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
thought so. I just wanted to be reminded.
I thought we already approved this, so, but
Yeah, that's what's
in front of
throwing me.
me. I think this is with the actual leasing company, so,
Okay.
yeah, the company is called Leasing 2, the number 2. Any further questions? I'll make a motion to approve for the agenda the lease purchase agreement with Leasing 2.
Bill Cool, second. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, who did the second?
Norm.
Thank you. All in favor?
Bill Cool, yes.
Martin, yes.
Kelly, yes. Heard Martin, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, next I have an ordinance request. In which this is from the service director for uniforms in an additional amount of $2,916.86 on emergency. This is to cover the cost of employee uniforms for the remainder of 2020. Any questions from the committee? No questions. I'll make a motion to approve this for $2,916.86 to UniFirst. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Kelly, aye.
Belko, yes.
Martin, are you there?
Yes, Martin, aye.
Thank you. Okay, let me see what else I have. Okay, this came from Parks and Rec, a renewal agreement for LPI. They publish our newsletter, which offsets the cost for our printing via selling ads. It looks like this should be no more than $1,500 per year. I'll make a motion to approve for the agenda.
Martin, second.
All in favor?
Belko, yes.
Kelly, yes. It is approved. Thank you. Anything down here? I have an ordinance request here from the finance director. This is for 2021 temporary appropriations. This is for, let's see. This is for current expenses, excuse me. This is for current expenses and other expenditures for the year ending December 31st of 2021. Again, this is for temporary appropriations. We'll have our normal budget discussions back in this upcoming January and February. Any questions by the committee? All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Wait, excuse me. Hold on one second. Pardon me. I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 temporary appropriations.
Belko, second.
All in favor? Kelly, yes.
Martin,
Belko, yes.
Thank you. Okay. I have an ordinance request authorizing the mayor to enter into an inspection and maintenance agreement for stormwater maintenance practices. This is with Myers. This is for Myers to maintain the stormwater management system pertaining to the Myers project in accordance with Chapter 1138. And this is on emergency. Any questions by the committee? If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve this for the agenda.
Martin, second.
All in favor? Kelly, aye.
Belko, yes.
Martin, was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. What else do we have here? Hang on here, I'm sorry. Okay, I have an ordinance request here from Bowen and Associates. This is for professional services related to the 2021 proposed city road program. These are for fees associated with the project and for bidding in the amount of $162,543.05. Any questions on this from the committee? I have a question for Dan Collins.
Yes.
Are you there, Dan?
Oh, yes, I am, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. I took a look at our former, the road study that we had completed in 2018, and it looks like out of this list, all but 4 streets rated at a 6 are being put out to bid. Is that correct?
Yeah, it looks like all but, I have on my list here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 streets.
5, okay.
5 streets that are still going to be a rated 6.
Okay. And it looks like for the proposed streets, not including the parking lot there at Broadview and Hillside, it's going to be a little over $2 million. But that was an estimated cost back in 2019. What I'm wondering about. Oh, go on, Dan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I apologize. Yeah, the costs that you see here are reflected in 2021 costs. They have been adjusted. Okay, they're conservative estimates for budgeting purposes, so we know in order of magnitude what these 11 streets plus the parking lot's going to cost.
And just for a point of clarification, the parking lot at Broadview and Hillside, you have the square footage down here. Is that for paving it as it currently exists now?
Yes,
because there's a huge grassy area that you pull around coming from Hillside. I'm wondering if we could take that out and add more parking spaces if we're going to pave this thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes, Madam President. Yeah, Engineer Collins here. Yeah, I think I do know what you're talking about, and we briefly discussed that, administratively, and that is open for further discussion on possibly reorienting that parking lot there to serve, what's best for the public, once we put the gazebo, on that site. So yes, that's not out of the question for sure.
Okay, that was my biggest concern. I thought maybe if we could remove that parcel of grass there, that would, at least create a few more parking spaces and just have it as a nice rectangular parking lot. Just putting it out there. Okay.
This is Madam Council President, Mayor Biassiata.
Yes, Mayor. Go ahead, please.
We can, what's before us today is the engineering costs for the bid package, and even after bids are accepted, some minor changes like that can be handled through the change order process. So as long as we had a approximation on square footage, if we wanted to swap, move, as long as it was in the general vicinity of the square footage bid, we can do that through change order at the point in time we're ready to actually resurface. So certainly we can have discussion and input on how to enhance it better than it is today. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I didn't want to jump the gun, but then again, too, I didn't want to be too late about it. So, okay, that's good to know.
Questions are always welcome. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. So are there any further questions by the committee for this? Okay, if there's no further questions by the committee, sorry, my dog's crying up here. I'm trying to give him a bone to quiet him up. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about this, folks. Okay, if there's no questions by the committee, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Excuse me, Madam President.
Yes,
Madam
go ahead,
President?
please.
Yeah, hi, Engineer Collins. I just wanted to just volunteer some information really quick, is that, these 11 streets were previously discussed at earlier in the year Public Works Committee meetings, and with one change, okay, you might see that number 11, Chestnut Road, wasn't on the original plan. We had Belmont Drive on it. We reached out to Brooklyn Heights. This was pre-COVID, to see if they were interested in sharing that project to resurface Belmont Drive. And we heard back from them. They said they're going to get back to us, but they didn't sound too, fond of it. And then COVID hit and we didn't hear anything. Since then, I don't know if you know or not, but Mayor Biassiata and the administration was successful in landing county funding for Chestnut Road this year. So we added Chestnut Road to the road program, as you see, is number 11. We were awarded a maximum up to $250,000 for the cost of construction for Chestnut Road. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We did have discussion on that last meeting, and that's great. So I'm glad to see it's on the list.
Good.
Madam President, this is Mayor Biassiata.
Yes, Mayor, go ahead, please.
I just wanted one minor point of clarification. I know there's a lot of information there. What we did pass, we talked in committee earlier in the year on 10 streets. 9 of the 10 streets are identical, and like Engineer Collins said, the 10th Street was Belmont, but it was 50% owned by Brooklyn Heights, and we were unable to obtain that partnership this year. So we're going to try again with the next program, and then we went to the next street in line, which was Tanglewood. Mm-hmm. So we started the year with 10 streets proposed, and we're finishing the year with 10. We just skipped Belmont until we can get a 50-50 deal with Brooklyn Heights going, and we moved Tanglewood was the next street up. Now, Chestnut, upon winning the award with the county, was added to the program and above what we were planning to do based upon the successful grant application with Cuyahoga County. Just wanted to make sure the record was clear. Thank you, Madam President.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Any questions by the committee? Okay, if there's no questions, I'm going to make a motion to go ahead and approve the engineering costs associated with the 2021 roads program in the amount of $162,543.05. Is there a second?
Martin, second.
All in favor?
Delacour, yes. Martin, yes.
Kelly, yes. Okay, that is approved for the agenda. It appears the last thing I have for finance is, it looks like, let's see, what is this? This is legislation for a Myers TIF agreement. Mary, did you want to speak to this?
Sure.
Excuse me, before you get started, I don't mean to interrupt, Mayor. Were you having a guest in pertaining to this?
Yes.
Are they for this meeting?
It was. Is Mr. Matt Stasinski on the phone today?
I am, Mayor. Good evening, and good evening, Madam
great.
President.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm going to defer.
Mayor, forgive me.
Thanks,
I think
man.
Greg Daniels from Squire Pan Boggs is also on the line as he drafted the legislation. So he's joined us as well. Greg, are you still on the line?
I'm still on the line. Thank you, Matt.
Very good. Very good. Please, Mayor, sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no interruption at all. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Dan, for joining us today. If one of you can take, I'm going to give the council president has acknowledged the floor is mine, and I'm going to defer it to either of you so that you can give a little bit of background on how the deal is structured, why we're doing it, and speak briefly to the what I would consider pros and cons. I have already researched this, and I do endorse this, but I think this would be an excellent opportunity for you to go a little deeper, alpha omega for council and for those listening at home, and also be available to answer questions if any should arise from council this evening. So with that, either Matt or Dan, please take it away.
Mayor, this is Matt. I'm going to defer to Greg Daniels. I'm sorry if I said Dan. His name is Greg. Greg crafted the legislation, and Greg, I thought perhaps it'd be good form for you to just give a general overview of the legislation itself, and I'll backfill with any questions regarding finance and pros and cons as it relates to finances. Okay?
Sure thing. Thanks, Matt. So what this legislation does, in short, is resets the 30-year TIF period for the site of the new Meyer store. There is currently a TIF in place for these parcels. That TIF began in 2007, but as the city was watching the redevelopment of this parcel into the new Meyer store, it saw an opportunity. Matt will get more into the numbers in a couple minutes, but it saw an opportunity to reset the 30-year clock. So instead of having used 13 years of the existing TIF with 17 years left for the new Meyer store, this gives us in the city a full 30-year period for the new Meyer TIF to capture that additional property tax value that will be generated by the new store. That money will flow into what's called a tax increment fund, a TIF fund, after fully compensating the Parma City School District. So those dollars in the fund can be used for public infrastructure improvements that benefit or serve the Meyer parcel. And so, for example, road improvements the city is undertaking, any streetscape improvements, those sorts of public improvements that the city is undertaking, this money will be available for that. So we effectively extend the period of TIF for approximately 13 years in which we can capture that additional money for more improvements. Matt, I'll pause here. You probably have some more information on the dollars and cents we're talking about, but that is, in short, what this ordinance does.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, this is Matt Stasinski. Again, good evening, all. So the goal here was to try to capture the increase in value of the new Myers, that of course is on Broadview Road, and we'll call it the magnitude of the improvement is really what spawns the action. A similar Meyer building in Avon was recently completed, and that construction value, or that new value that was promoted by way of their value through the municipality and the county, is roughly $12 million. And we saw that as an opportunity to, as Greg mentioned, reset the TIF and capture those dollars over a longer period of time, and make sure that we reset the base value to the value where there was basically nothing on that site as of January 1st, 2020. So we're trying to reset the base value to a lower dollar amount and capture as much increment as we can. And by capturing the increment, what we're doing is capturing millage that would otherwise flow to as property taxes to the county are now flowing to the city and repurposed as payments in lieu of taxes. And again, you've been doing this. You've had in place other TIF parcels since 2007 on Broadview Road. But what we're trying to do is maximize the window of opportunity to capture this larger project. Now, when we think about, we'll call it roughly $10 million of improvement, and I'll just use the slightly lower number for the time being for round numbers. What we're suggesting is that what we're capturing is roughly $80,000 of annual pilot payments that would flow to the city that would otherwise flow to the county and other overlapping political subdivisions other than the school district. As Greg mentioned, the school district is made whole, but we're capturing county millage, library millage, Port Authority millage, Metro Parks, and Tri-C millage, and that's going to flow into the TIF fund. And roughly speaking, that works out to be about $8,000 per $1 million of improvement, or if it is a $10 million incremental improvement, roughly $80,000 a year additionally flowing to the city for 30 years. As Greg mentioned, by resetting the clock, we're capturing roughly 13 years worth of $80,000, again, assuming that we're talking about a $10 million project that we would otherwise have foregone. So the purpose of the legislation is to reset the clock and reset the timeline and capture this new increment. The only downside that I suggest to the mayor and to the finance department and to council is this. By way of the setting up the TIF fund, the city, which would normally receive property taxes in the amount of about $4,000 a year, will now have for each $1 million worth of improvement, and again, using $10 million in additional value, would be roughly $40,000 a year. Those monies where they would be normally property taxes flowing to the city, they're still going to flow to the city. However, they will have to go into a TIF capital improvement fund and will need to be used for public purpose improvements that, as Greg mentioned, are tangential to the project on Broadview Road. Now, I go back to the legislation from 2007, where the similar language was introduced and passed, and that language from the 2007 TIF, public purpose improvements, basically said that the public purpose improvements are that which are on Broadview Road, as well as any and all streets that serve Broadview Road. That's virtually every street in the city, if I'm not mistaken. So I think there's pretty wide potential for the use of those TIF dollars beyond just Broadview Road. And that really is the only downside, is that there's some restriction to the portion that the city would otherwise receive in general property tax that would likely go mostly to the general fund, is going to have to flow into a TIF capital improvement fund. But you're not losing anything. It's just being utilized in a slightly different manner. So with that, I'll stop and see if there's questions. There's a lot to cover.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the background information, Council President Kelly. So with the money, so we are getting the money. It just may be redirected. With that being said, if the money goes into a TIF fund that could be used for public improvement, and the way that ordinance 132-2007, the way that's written, it looks like we could use that for any area that serves Broadview Road. But to err on the side of caution, can we reinvest that money into the surrounding area? It doesn't have to necessarily be the Meyer property, but basically within the vicinity. Is that correct?
Greg, do you want to give some, we'll call it, overview of public purpose improvements and the latitude you have that the city has?
Right. Sure thing, Matt. And what we have done is drafted the public purpose clause for this ordinance very broadly to allow maximum flexibility for where this money can be used. It does not need to be solely used on or adjacent to the Meyer parcel. It could be, if the city has improvements in the right-of-way there, that's fine for it to be used there. But under state law, we can use the money for any reasonably related public purpose as it relates to the Meyer parcel. So what's an example of that? You know, if the city is upgrading water or sewer lines that serves the Meyer parcel, that would be an example of an eligible expense, even if they are not directly adjacent to the Meyer parcel. So the lines to and from the Meyer parcel. As Matt mentioned earlier, if we can show that there is traffic crossing over certain roads that is directly attributable to the Meyer parcel, we can use the money to improve those other roads because the Meyer parcel is in effect using those other roads. So the improvements to the road would benefit the parcel. It's really that sort of analysis that in the future the city would undertake with any specific expenditure of the money to make sure it's a legal expenditure. But given the development on the site with the Meyer store, I think it's reasonable that there will be a lot of related uses for this TIF money. And I would add, if for whatever reason the city runs out of related uses for the TIF money in the future, the city can always choose to terminate the TIF early and have its portion of the taxes then flow back into the general fund going forward. I would not anticipate that to happen. I can tell you I work on a lot of TIFs. Cities rarely run out of uses for the money.
you. Are there any questions by the committee? Any questions by the rest of council?
This is Councilman Snitsky. I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilman Snitsky. The floor is yours.
Gentlemen, can you give me an example here of, just clarify one thing. We have a major park behind the Meyer project. It's our major ball diamonds, or a number of our major ball diamonds are there. It's an adjacent property. Do you perceive in your mind that some of these funds could, if necessary, be used for that property? Thank you.
Matt, I can take a crack at that.
Would you please?
Yep. I would say for a purpose like that, I would need some more information and maybe even have a conversation with the Meyer folks themselves to get their take on it. It's not prohibited, but it's not immediately obvious how that sort of improvement would benefit the Meyer parcel. So we'd want to do some more investigation. Certainly parks are a permitted use on the whole list of improvements, but every time we spend money, we need to make sure we analyze and find a reasonable specific tie between the improvement and the Meyer parcel. It could be we do some investigation. We talk to the Meyer folks. Property owner input is important in doing these sorts of investigations. And if they say, having these ball fields will benefit their employees and their customers, they really want it, they look forward to it, that's great evidence. But we just need to build that kind of case.
All right. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you.
Any further questions by council? Mayor, did you have any further questions?
Yes, Mayor Biasi. I don't have a question, but we went through a lot of information, and I really like to boil it down to a couple salient points for council before they make their decision and the people at home. That what we're talking about here, based on a $10 million appreciation and valuation, which I think is conservative, okay, is there's approximately over the next 13 years, $520,000 in new property taxes to the city of Seven Hills, okay, that would have gone into the general fund. These dollars now will go into a public improvement TIF. These dollars can be used, without a doubt, for streets and sewers that connect to the Meyer area, not necessarily the project, so the supporting area, and their tributaries. And when you think of how sewers work in the city, they're all one is connected to the other, and another to the other. So that's going to cover a wide range of street and sewer improvements. Maybe 2/3 of the city or more would be in the scope of this, that $520,000 could be used for. Now, the upside, which is fine, because I think that's where the direction the city is heading in anyhow. That the money would have went in the general fund, and we would have applied it to streets and sewers down the road anyhow, so I don't think we're out much. The most important thing, take home here, is over $1 million over the next 13 years that would have went to other agencies will now stay in Seven Hills. So we lose nothing but restricting $500,000-ish. And for that restriction for public improvement only, we pick up $1 million that we wouldn't otherwise. That will also go into a public improvement fund for streets, sewers, and potentially other things that are a little more down the road, like Councilman Snitsky asked, but that will be pending research in down the road. Hopefully that brings it together a little tighter. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions from the committee? Okay. If there's no further questions from the committee or from council, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve this for the agenda. Resetting the 30-year TIF for the Meyer property.
Martin, second.
All in favor?
Repola, yes.
Martin, yes.
Kelly, yes. Okay, this is approved for the agenda. Thank you, Matt and Dan. We appreciate you coming to our meeting. Thanks for the information.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Our pleasure.
Alrighty. Enjoy your evening. It appears that I have nothing further in my finance folder. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. That was quite extensive.
Madam President, Mayor Biassiata.
Mayor Biassiata, go ahead, please.
It was quite extensive. My thank you for working through such a large folder today, but as you can see, some of it was housekeeping and some of it was incredibly important to the future of the city. You may have brought this up, but I did not note it in my records, so my apology if this was discussed. In addition, for the Finance Committee today, we wanted to talk about our 2021 contract with the Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works.
Yeah.
Was that discussed for a amount not to exceed $400,000?
No, it was not discussed.
Can we briefly talk about that now?
Yes, go ahead.
Once again, this is Mayor Biassiata. We're just finishing up our second year with the Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works a la carte. We've been contracting with the county for 2 years now to increase our capability, mostly, but other work as well, increase our annual sewer maintenance program to increase the speed and get to more streets in addition to what we do in-house. It's been incredibly well received by our residents, and feedback's been good, and I believe it's been helping a lot. We wish to have this program in place to start January 2021, so there isn't any lag in service. This year our contract called for $300,000. We're asking for $400,000 in 2021, not to exceed. We're going to come in close to what we contracted for this year. And next year, we've already identified a couple big projects that, such as the pump station on North Mary Lane, that we're going to look to the county to do. So if we're going to have the county do additional work like the pump station on North Mary Lane, we want to increase the contract as to not lessen the amount of sewer maintenance / cleaning we're doing. Director Johnson, is there anything you'd like to add, or did that pretty much cover it?
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Chairman, if I may, in addition to adding the pump station, maintenance of the pump station, we also have 2 pipe repair projects that are about to begin. One is on Graydon Road. The other is another project on North Circle View. And we have some spot repairs in the Firethorn, Waxbury, Tanglewood area that are a part of a larger project. All of those projects are going to be in excess of an additional $60,000. So the additional $100,000 that we're asking for, half of it, or more than half of it, has already been committed. We will get those invoices in the first quarter of next year. And so that's why we're asking for the additional amount of money. Thank you.
Madam President, this is Mayor Biassiata.
Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
When he says committed, we are planning it. No dollars have been allocated from a contract we haven't passed yet. I just want to, in case anyone was concerned on the exact words. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mayor, just for a point of clarification, what you had recently discussed for the Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works for the $400,000, that has to be added to the agenda this evening, an emergency, because it's my understanding this has to go to county council for approval before the year ends. Is that correct?
It has to be there by the year end. I was not. I'll defer to Jack Johnson. The current contract takes us through December 31st, 2020. So,
Madam Chairman, if I may. Yes, Madam Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yes, it's my understanding that the legislation and the signed contract needs to be submitted to the county, and that has to be presented to the county council for approval before the county executive can sign the contract. So I just received the draft in the last several days. We're trying to move it through as soon as we can so that the county council has an opportunity to review it before the executive can sign it.
Okay. And then all that has to be done before year end.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve this. This is for the Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works. This is set to expire in December of 2020. A one-year contract not to exceed $400,000. And this is for approval for the agenda this evening.
Belko, second.
All in favor?
Belko, aye.
Or not.
Kelly, aye. Okay. Okay, this has been approved for tonight's agenda. One more thing real quick. Director Johnson, did you want to speak to ordinance number 85-2020? Was there anything that you needed to change on that, or did you want to table it? What is the status on this, please?
Madam Chairman, is that that's for the electricity rate?
Go ahead, please.
Yes, I had originally submitted to City Council a proposal from Current Energy for electricity rates for 15 buildings, the rec center, and park lighting. Between the times that I received the quotes, which was on Thursday, and on Monday, the proposed vendor reviewed their rates, rescinded those rates, and so our broker had to try to secure rates from other companies. So the proposal that is in front of you, if council desires to amend the legislation, would be to authorize 3 separate contracts, and I'd be glad to go through it with you. The first contract would be with Freeport Energy for the rec center. It would be with AEP Energy, let's see, hold on. AEP Energy, and that's for the park lighting, and IGS Energy for the other 15 accounts that we have. The only difference is that the total savings has now been revised. The projected original total savings for 3 years was $27,000. That now has been revised downward to $19,450.92. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay. What was that last number? 19,000 what?
$19,450.
Okay. All right. So it's no longer with Current Energy, it's with those other 3 that you had mentioned. IGS. Correct.
AEP.
What was it?
AEP.
Okay.
And let's see, I'm trying to find the last company. I believe the council clerk submitted the contracts to you.
I'm trying to go through them. Oh, I see. Okay, Freepoint Energy.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's the only difference is the amount of savings that we will experience annually and over the 3-year period.
Okay. And the amount of savings is the $19,450.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. We can amend that as we go down the agenda. Any further questions for the Finance Committee? Any questions or comments from Council? The Mayor, Administration, anything for Finance? Okay, if there's nothing further for Finance, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn at 7:18.
Delacuilla, second.
Please.
Delacuilla, second.
All in favor by roll call, Martin?
Martin, yes.
Delacuilla?
Yes.
Kelly, yes. Finance is adjourned at 7:18 p.m. Jen?
Yep.
You know what, can we take a 5-minute recess before we start the council meeting?
You're the boss, you tell me.
Yeah, if we could do that.